have a question for you. The first question is actually, what challenges do you see the management educations face in this post-COVID world? What is it that you have seen in your experience?
All right. So first of all, let me wish everyone, and also my humble pranams to everyone in this noble academic profession who have all gathered here. And I'm honored to be part of this group discussing on something very important, and it's something that remains important all the time. Uh, and As far as challenges are concerned, uh, I think in life we need challenges all the time, but looking at solutions rather than at the problem will be the appropriate way to deal with any kind of challenge. And if there are enough participants around, I would like to pose a question. If somebody can, look at the raise of hands, I would like to ask, how many of you feel that your quality of life has changed uh, for the better after this COVID has come in? So do we get to see?
Yeah, I think some of the attendees have raised their hands. I think about two of them.
Okay, right. So, and another question that I would like to pose is, how many of you feel or have this anxiety that once you pass out, you graduate, it's going to be a big challenge getting a job, a good job? Can there be a raise of hands for this?
We have 7, 10, 12, more than 15, 20 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is what I want to focus on. Uh, we always, we have become a little too job oriented, and we don't look at the opportunities in the process. I believe that there are much more opportunities than what was there before, but we have become too job oriented. Uh, and In the process, the innovation, the creativity, the thinking, we have brought down all this, and also our potential to contribute also has gone down in the process. Um, this is typical of perhaps what is happening in the business world. Business has distanced itself from society more and more. And our graduates, all of us, are also part of the business world, I should say. We have also, in the process, distanced ourselves from society. That so much so that we have put ourselves in the comfort zone of certain jobs, and we don't quite question whether these businesses are contributing positively to the society. We see more and more, the chinks in this capitalism model. Um, we see the inequality in income um, going up significantly, and we see businesses consolidating, and there is poverty like never before. And the kind of problems that we face, the financial world is also contributing to this, where the winner takes all is the model. So more and more, the business has distanced itself from society. We have, uh, you know, uh, damaged the ecological balance. We have not cared for what harm we have done to the planet. And when we look at everything from a job point of view, we take up jobs maybe in companies which are not positively contributing to the environment. We take up jobs which are creating more inequalities. maybe we are part of a Goldman Sachs, or we crave for that kind of jobs where a few investors benefit in this winner takes all kind of a model. And uh, you know what is it that we can do for the society, for the betterment of the planet, is something that we are not thinking of. So I think as managers, the compassionate leadership is what the world needs today, where we are approaching every problem, looking at the solution in terms of how it is going to have a larger impact on the society, a positive impact on the planet, and in what way can the world be a better place for the next generation and for us. We limit our potential significantly if we look at management education purely from the point of view of a job. So this is my initial response, and I would like to join in after we get a few more responses from others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. So, Rajesh sir, I have a question regarding the current rise in edtech companies, especially post this pandemic. We have seen a huge rise, and do you see that these online learning companies making a dent on our traditional institutions?
Um, Thank you, Ajitesh. That said, thanks for this opportunity to be part of this event. In fact, what you raised is a very relevant question in the current time. But just before I answer this specifically, I'd like to add a couple of points to what Professor Lata was mentioning. Um, in the current, especially this COVID pandemic situation, what we have seen, one major challenge for education institution is students have had past 6 months what we call comfort learning, and you are aware, particularly a management education should be more discipline oriented, it should be more skill oriented, it is application based. Imagine the challenge once the students are back to the campus, how to change their mindset to participate when they're so much used to the comfort learning. Now, this is one challenge I think we had to grapple a lot before we restart the regular program as such. And two, we normally say a teacher should open the mind, touch hold the hand and touch the heart. Are teachers truly ready, and are teachers in the current scenario actually able to create that passion to learn? I think these two have to be seriously thought, along with the value-based education, which is honestly, I feel, is missing, because whatever I'm sharing is based on my 27 years of exposure with B schools across India and outside India as well. And one thing that is missing is it has become too much business oriented than value oriented. I think that is one thing we should focus upon. But coming to your question, Mr. Ajitesh, uh, yes, for short run, these edtech companies might create a small dent, but trust me, nobody can replace a traditional teaching system, especially in management education, for one reason. What we look for in management education is a transformation. Now, what these online courses can give at the maximum is some knowledge, to some extent, some skills. Do you think learning is happening? I mean, a big question mark. I'm sure we have many student participants here. And last 6 months, they've been exposed to a very good system, new system of online education. How many of them can seriously urge that they have got a good learning? They might have interested, they might be interested, the faculty may be doing a fair job. All set aside, is the learning happening? And the transformation, as I said, is not just about knowledge, it's about the mindset and about creating the right skills and environment. And in management education, what we look forward is one of the key features is peer learning. Now, do you think in online education that can happen? In fact, even I run some online programs, but given a choice, given a chance, it's always, I personally urge for a regular system of teaching rather than online. Online is just a stopgap. Yes, in case institutions are running executive programs, I always suggest better you go for online rather than this thing. But when it comes to a regular MBA program, it's any day the best choice to go for traditional learning. So short run, yes, it may be because of the current scenario, probably there may be better demand. But in the long run, I have the opportunity to sit in placements of many companies, and trust me, what we look for is very different. And if a student comes with a certificate saying that I've done online, honestly, we don't give much weightage for that. Yes, there is some knowledge that has been acquired, but is it really does he or she has the qualities what management looks for, and that can happen only when it is a full-time education. But in the short run, yes, there might be, and that is exactly where the management institutions have a challenge, how we can pitch ourselves to see that we can give you something better than the online education. If that is, I think, one thing which we should think upon and uh, make it clear to all the learners. I'm sure online education can be just a support system, but cannot be a replacement for our traditional teaching as such.
Thank you, sir. And Madhumita ma'am, I just wanted to know, we have spoken about challenges, but in terms of opportunities, do you think that there is a lot of opportunity for students during this period?
I think any time in our history, whenever we have looked at business world as such and the business history, every era has offered opportunities, and this is something, of course, unseen factor that has come into our life. But as business professionals, the main purpose of management education is to create students who will have the flexibility to take care of the ambiguities that will come in their life. So management education is the one that has the maximum opportunities at this point of time. For example, I mean, if I may be absolutely specific with management education, we are looking around at cash flow crunches, insolvencies, job losses, slowdown. These are the areas where management graduates can actually offer their and bring in changes about how to run the business, because they are the ones who will be asked for solutions to this. So our management education today has to look at these areas and offer inputs in this to our students. And I think most of us, B schools, have already started looking at it and are designing courses around it. And the concept of ethics, I mean, I feel very, very vindicated today, because I have been teaching ethics, and people used to always laugh at me saying, ethics has no value in business and business has its own ethics. But today I feel absolutely vindicated, because that's been my area, and corporate social responsibility. And this is going to be the main factor, because the stakeholders are going to be important in today's business. So there is a huge opportunity for our students to look at the different stakeholders who are involved in business and how they improve, their life, as Professor Lata was talking about going back to the society, contributing. So there are many other businesses except the ones that we think of that, unless I am in Google or unless I am in Microsoft, I'm not really doing well. That's not what we are looking at. And today, the student's mindset has to get out of that industry specific skills to flexibility. And that is what is management education all about. It teaches us how to be flexible, and the hard and soft skills need to be there to raise resiliency. So there is this huge opportunity for management students, because they are the ones who are going to now offer the new perspectives to business. And I'm sure business is looking for people who will help them to get out of this, this pandemic situation, or this unforeseen situation, which they never thought would happen. I mean, they had all gone global, and today we are looking at local supply chains and building offices where more human, aspect has to be brought in. But when you are looking at businesses shutting down their office space, so it is the management student who has to design their entire HR policy about how to handle remote teams, how to bring in this positive human connection that is required in any business. So there is a huge opportunity there. And of course, I must say that students would have to upgrade their technological skills. And if I may give an example, it's my generation, if I may say, when we were growing up, we had never seen computers. We saw it for the first time in probably class 8, and then, then we had to learn it. So wherever we went, we realized that if we don't learn the new technology, we will not survive. So today it will be data analytics, because it is going to be a digitized economy, and we cannot move away from the reality. So the students have this great opportunity of involving themselves in the new skills, new technologies that are coming, and that will be in great demand. If you are good, jobs are there. is my perspective at looking at opportunities. If one is good, there is no dearth of jobs. So one has to prepare oneself for that. And it is a campus that offers that excellent learning. I agree with Professor Rajesh that it is about building this human connects that is important. So opportunities are galore. I mean, all the problems that we have listed have the opportunity for management students because they are the ones who are going to resolve it. So management education, of course, we will also have to teach in that fashion, give them the options and they learn. So the great learning, the creativity that Professor Lata was talking about is going to come out now. And this is the opportunity for the students to be innovative and not get bogged down by what has been coming down as that if you don't have this job, you're not going to do well. At this point anyway, what do the crores of money at all mean? We can see what is happening. So it is about how you're going to add value, which is going to create a sustainable world. So I feel there is a lot of opportunities that are there.
Thank you, ma'am.
If I may add a little more to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Just as Professor Madhumita pointed out, I mean, I also see just opportunities and opportunities everywhere. And particularly in this online education context, I see that the entire world has opened up for the students to learn from, because we are no longer constrained by the resources that are required to bring a faculty from abroad to teach in our universities. It's so much easier today to just connect. I mean, all of us through our research, we have connections with so many people in various institutions. Just the NRI diaspora is huge there in the foreign universities across the world, not just in the US, but everywhere. And it doesn't take much today. Frankly, I'm part of this Vaibhav initiative of the Prime Minister, where he is bringing the Indian scientists and academicians from management, along with the NRIs, that is those who are based in foreign institutions. And we've had a couple of panel discussions just going on. It's a month-long deliberations, bringing them together on what we can do together to improve the innovation, the R&D, the academic collaborations, fostering joint education programs, etc. And there have been excellent suggestions, and it has been so easy to reach out to them and ask them to come and share a platform and talk to us. And they are so ready to, come and contribute India's growth, India's success story. So it's a huge world out there that is today available to our student community, that we can invite, the best of the minds to come and teach a course, take a session, give them some inputs. That is a big opportunity that has opened out. And one more point that I would like to make about why this online is an opportunity rather than a restriction is ultimately, whether you are in the classroom or you're online, what what matters is how you emotionally connect with the student. While it may be a little easier when we get to have more interactions, but the first few minutes when we get into the classroom, we need to connect emotionally. They may be with their mind may be occupied with IPL or anything else, but we have to go into that space to bring them. We cannot directly say, so shall we do revise what we did yesterday? So we would have lost the whole hour or hour and a half. But that emotional connect in the first few minutes, going into their space, their emotion, that is when the transformation can happen. Whatever values, etc. At the age at which we deal with students, there cannot be the kind of value-based education that probably happens at when they are younger. But here, when we connect and when we demonstrate to them what works in the real world, what doesn't work, and when we are what we want them to be, and when we understand their pains and their challenges, and they know that they are cared for, and we go beyond the subject. This is something that happens in the Harvard Business School and other universities, which is not very difficult. When we have a case discussion, we usually focus only on the subject, but there, when they take a feedback on what was your learning, the learning, they don't restrict, they don't ask for learning only relating to the subject. I mean, if I'm teaching a case relating to finance, it's not about learning how to calculate the cost of capital, cost of equity, but it is about during the class, uh, did I respectfully with my fellow students? Did I respect the views of others? Did I learn how to behave, how to present, how to discuss and come to a solution, how to present my viewpoints assertively if I have a very strong point, accept that I'm wrong if I'm really wrong. Did I learn all of this? So when we conclude a case discussion, we have to focus on a lot more aspects going beyond the subject that we teach. That is when that transformation is going to take place, which is what we want in our students. It's not just about learning a skill or learning a course, but it is about becoming somebody else than what I was when I joined the course. How do I become, a more productive person, a more efficient person, a person with better leadership qualities, someone who can take decisions during times of difficulties? How do I become all that? I mean, that is something that all of us need to focus on, and case discussions, etc., really help if we only, go beyond the subject.
Thank you, ma'am. Uh, Sir, I have Venkatesha, sir. I have one question. So you have
Yes.
been the director at Acharya Bangalore B School for about 12 years, and you have done things a certain way. But this pandemic, this whole situation, how are you planning to do things a little differently, or what is it that you have in mind when you're running the MBA program during this time?
Yeah. Thank you. Now this pandemic is one of the obstacles or the change that has come on our way. Otherwise, business program as such is dynamic. See, when we started our program in 2008, how MBA was, and in 2015, the MBA was not like that. And you see, when I started my program of MBA in 2008, I used to talk a lot about the organized retailers like Big Bazaar, organized retailers like Shopper Stop, organized retailers like a lot of people who are having big infrastructure and selling. And when we came to 2015-16, we were talking about the concept of online, Flipkart, Amazon, and things like that. The point here is management education always has been dynamic. Business is dynamic. That is why the management education has to be dynamic. But yes, it is true that dynamic nature of the business education has taken a new turn with this pandemic, COVID-19. But not only that, what has happened is whole business has changed now. Say, for example, if you look at the consumption, today we talk about collaborative consumption. There is a new jargon today. Whether COVID is there or not, collaborative consumption is there. We are talking about shared economy today. The sharing economy today, say for example, your cabs are shared today, your hotels are shared today, the food what we cook at our home is shared today, and there are a lot of people who are doing business through this. See, I was reading a book written by Rajan about the sharing economy. He tells me there are a lot of companies which share cameras, which share lenses, which share jackets. I mean, what is happening today is the business is undergoing a transformation, a big metamorphosis. And online education and online business, and with this pandemic, the education has also undergone a metamorphosis. Say, for example, one more example I can give you is in business. One of the very important thing is trust. How do we build trust? See, we used to build trust by giving compliment, by giving showing the product to them, or we are telling them how the product performs. But today, digitization, trust has come to digitization. Look at how it, say for example, if somebody wants to know how trustworthy I am as a cab driver, they would see my review. That is why when I get down from Ola, people ask me to rate the driver, because the trust is digitized. The consumption of is has become digitization. The physical has become digital. Say for example, one more thing I tell you. You see, when we were trading in stock market in 70s and 80s, we had physical form of the shares. Now it all become digital. I mean, trust has become digital. The music has become digital. I mean, the account has become, now if I have an account if I have my stocks, it is not shown in the physical form. It is in the demat form. I mean, the point here is every business, every function of every business has undergone change. One thing we have to remember is this: any B school or B school throughout the world has to embrace the change. And one thing as a director I can do is the way in which I teach marketing, I don't want to teach the way I used to teach 20 years back. Say, for example, earlier I used to talk more about advertisement. Today I will talk more about community. I will talk about the sharing of the ideas. Say, once I used to talk about ownership of the product. Today I talk about shared access. Say for example, of course, with urbanization, shared access was always there. In an apartment, common place was always shared. The swimming pool is shared. The gym is shared, and it is percolating down the line now. Say for example, due to Ola, Uber, the number of automobile industry gets impacted. Now I have to tell students that there are a lot of opportunities in shared economy. There is a lot of opportunity in digitization of the trust. There is a lot of opportunity in digitization of the physical. Say for example, lot of physical products have gone to information. Say for example, when we talk about 3D printing, we talk about selling products through the digital form. Say a day may come where some people may print my heart or my kidney. I mean, what is happening today is every functional area of business, let it be finance, let it be HR, let it be marketing, let it be healthcare, has undergone a sea change. With this sea change, I have to keep in pace with this changing scenario. What we have to do is we have to add value to students. Say for example, if I am teaching finance, finance is not just enough for students. I have two dons who are excellent in finance, Rajesh and Madam Lata Chakravarty. The point here is that a teacher who knows balance sheet today, if he doesn't know Excel, he is nowhere in the industry. If he doesn't know the SAP, nobody cares for him. And it is true with marketing. If I teach the old marketing without touching upon the digital marketing, and if I don't teach how to bring the trust in the digital form, if I don't teach HR students what is happening in the HR space, say work from home, and a lot of things are happening. I mean to say, business education and management education always has been dynamic, and this has to be dynamic whether COVID is there or not. We have to keep our education dynamic. Say one more example, if I have to give you now, look at the what type of consumption we are having today. Earlier we used to have hyper consumption. Say for example, if I have to enjoy a resort, people used to think that I have to own a resort. It is no more necessary. If I have to enjoy a high-end car, I need not own a car today. I can share a car. And now the whole phenomena and the nature of business is changing. At B schools, the faculty, management, the students, everybody has to be ready to embrace this change. And because of the COVID, one thing that has come to my mind very sharply is the digitization. I mean, digital teaching, digital learning, and one more thing is the whole world supply chain. Somebody was talking about supply chain, and supply chain is going digital. And Dr. Rajesh Kumar was talking about the traditional education and the modern online education. I fully agree with him. And MBA being an experiential program, online can supplement it, but it cannot supplant. And traditional brick and mortar management education would be there, peer learning would be there, experiential learning would be there, and the project would be there, the internship would be there. And in addition to that, yes, as Professor Lata was talking, yes, it has become more easy to bring the experts from throughout the world on board at a cheaper cost and without much botheration. I think that would be the future, and these changes I would like to bring in the course that we offer to the MBA students.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I request all the panelists to please note the time because I have about 12 different questions in three different sectors. To the next area that we'll talk about is technology integration in business schools. I have a question for Dr. Lata Chakravarty, madam. Ma'am, since you have been teaching at IIM Shillong, how is IIM integrating technology in its pedagogy? And do you see more of technology integration in 2020?
Certainly, COVID or no COVID, technology is the way to go. And uh, learners, all of us have to accept the teachers are slow learners compared to students. And COVID has kind of come as a boon for that forced learning to happen. And we have realized that it was just a mindset, and it wasn't at all difficult transitioning to the new way of teaching and learning. So we are, happily enjoying not just the experience of Zoom, but the initial we got into it, we started teaching, and then we said no, the case discussions are not possible. And then we realized that the break rooms are such a great way of putting the students into small groups. And some of us discovered that the kind of discussion that was happening in those groups was much more intense than what was happening in the physical classroom. They were no longer threatened by the physical presence of, much more smoother and healthier discussions were happening in these small groups in the breakout rooms. And the quizzes we find are such a breeze than what it was when we were doing it, getting it printed and distributed, just going to the classroom and making sure that they are not copying, all those things. Now on the Moodle kind of learning management systems, conducting a quiz is so much more easier, and there are so many assignments that can be handled so much more easily, and giving the feedback to the students is also so much easier. And I understand that the technology is getting designed in such a way that we can get the look and feel of a classroom. We just see photographs and videos of students all arranged in boxes. But I understand that very soon we will have the real classroom-like appearance, and that is what the people in the technology areas are working on. So, and we also, think about, how do we make sure that the exams are conducted in such a way. It may have started from the very low end motive of how do we make sure that they don't pass on the files and discuss and copy when they are taking an online exam. But it has come to a situation where how do we make sure that, we ask the kind of questions which really tests their understanding, their conceptual clarity, and we ask questions and give them assignments in such a way that the real learning we get to see, while it makes sure that the copying does not happen because it has to be very individual. It serves the real purpose of an evaluation rather than getting to know whether they have learned something by rote. So I think technology is the way to go, and it's going to enhance both teaching and learning in a lot many ways.
Thank you. Thank you. Sir, Dr. Rajesh, sir, I have a question for you. Since we're talking about technology, where do you see lies the biggest scope in using technology to see graduates who are, more ready for the workspace. We usually talk about teaching, learning, and all that, but in terms of keeping students ready for the workspace, do you see any implementations there?
Yeah. Um, just to take off from where what Lata Madam was mentioning, now it's no more a choice. Technology is part and parcel, and good to know. Past 2 3 years, at least I could see most universities have woken up for the requirement, have been integrating technology with the curriculum, and of course, this situation has speeded the process. And what has to happen? The integration with technology has been happening, which is good to know. But I would like to say technology is just it should just be a tool, it should not be the destination. And unfortunately today there's so much of over dependence on technology. The direction is I mean, we're going in the wrong direction, I feel. In fact, when I sit in placements, I mean, we generally we have candidates coming from professional courses and from management background, and we normally give priority for management students for one reason, because they have good exposure for research. I mean, supposedly to have good exposure for research. And when it comes to domain, I feel integration has happened, and depending on the student and the faculty, it has been happening. But one area where students should get good expertise, good exposure as far as technology is concerned is its application in research, because tomorrow that is what can create them great opportunities, particularly management students. That is one thing they should equip themselves with. Maybe I'll add little more on when you come to the placement discussion. I'll add more to this. But like in research, there's huge scope. What we are discussing teaching today is very tough from where what Lata Madam was mentioning. Now it's no more a choice. Technology is part and parcel, and good to know. Past 2 3 years, at least I could see most universities have woken up for the requirement, have been integrating technology with the curriculum, and of course, this situation has speeded the process. And what has to happen? The integration with technology has been happening, which is good to know. But I would like to say technology is just it should just be a tool, it should not be the destination. And unfortunately today there's so much of over dependence on technology. The direction is I mean, we're going in the wrong direction, I feel. In fact, when I sit in placements, I mean, we generally we have candidates coming from professional courses and from management background, and we normally give priority for management students for one reason, because they have good exposure for research. I mean, supposedly to have good exposure for research. And when it comes to domain, I feel integration has happened, and depending on the student and the faculty, it has been happening. But one area where students should get good expertise, good exposure as far as technology is concerned is its application in research, because tomorrow that is what can create them great opportunities, particularly management students. That is one thing they should equip themselves with. Maybe I'll add little more on when you come to the placement discussion. I'll add more to this. But like in research, there's huge scope. What we are discussing teaching today is very additional form of research, and what research is happening is way beyond our imagination. So in that domain, I always feel there is a big scope for integrating more of technology. Ajitesh, over to you.
Thank you, sir. I think that rightly said, research has so much scope in terms of how we utilize it, and I think the opportunities are endless.
Absolutely.
And Madhumita, ma'am, do you see technology being the most important element today in management education pedagogy, or do you think otherwise?
Technology will always be the facilitator. It has to be there because today we are looking at a world of connecting globally with different institutions, different professors, and so much of repository of knowledge is available by the click of a finger. So the training that we have to give to our students is that they have to be agile and adaptive. And today's business world would demand technological skills in data analytics because data is huge. And in fact, I was listening to a debate in the financial world where they were talking about how they are now going to implement technology to even decide about the stock market, and actually there's a patent happening on that sphere. So technology is going to enhance the learning, and that's how we have to look at technology. Technology cannot be seen as only usage for purposes of entertainment or just having fun with technology. Technology actually has to be used for research, as we said, and in ABBS, as you already know, we have a mandatory research course, and that is where the students are actually having great fun in going into the technology, gathering data, and they are sometimes surprised with what they are getting. And it's also a learning for the faculty, because faculty get access to so much of great learning and great research, and even the industry is sharing a lot of details. So the McKinsey reports and all these that come to us. So technology will have to be there. We cannot say that we are not going to use technology. But technology will be the facilitator, will be the platform that will be used for our students. And as the world economy will digitize, we cannot stop it, whether it is online, retail, online marketing, everything is moving on that. The students have to be geared up for that. Every company that I talk to, actually, sorry, every company that I talk to, they're all asking, can they do data analytics? Do they have the basic understanding? Just as, we were asked, do you know how to make a PPT, or do you know Word? Which today's students will find it so silly that how can you not know it? And the best thing is, today's generation is so tech savvy. So it is their opportunity now to use the growth in technology and imbibe it in their management studies to enhance their learning, bring in that flexibility, get more inspired by what is happening around the world, to be more creative and innovative in this. So I think it is going to remain, and it is going to be a good thing if we use it correctly. That is one of the important things, how to implement it.
So technology will be the facilitator, be used as a tool, but not the ends to the mean. And thank you, ma'am. And sir, Venkatesha sir, I have a interesting question. I think a question that we get, especially from a lot of our faculty over the course of time. Even a couple of years ago, there was this question when AI came into the picture in the field of education and all that. Will teachers be replaced by AI, or will there be tasks that can be replaced by a human teacher, sir?
When it comes to education, I do not see any time in the posterity, in the future, where AI would completely replace the human teachers. Human beings as faculty, as teachers, would always be there. And I give few reasons why human being is always there. See, technology is a means, not an end. Say, when I teach finance, the way in which I deliver, as Professor Rajesh was talking about, we can use some technology. Say, for example, it could be your Excel, it could be your advanced Excel, it could be your SPSS, or it could be your SAS in research, and all these things are there. What they do is they supplement the human effort of teaching the student. And of course, a day may also come where you may deliver through online, but at the end of the day, who creates knowledge is the human being, the teacher. And I may tell, say for example, instead of you coming to classroom today, be all at your home and I will deliver from here. That may happen. But a recorded class, see, what people see is, once a class is recorded, and that will be played throughout the years, every year repeatedly that is played. No, that will never happen, because knowledge is not static. Human being professors would always be there, and the technology is only a means and it is not an end. The means is the knowledge. Where from knowledge comes from? Knowledge comes from, in domain area, from the researchers, from the human beings. And there cannot be a better researcher than a human being. And any machine we create, I don't foresee, I wish we will not see that situation where machine takeovers man. I wish that will not happen. And I always feel and believe that always human brain is super than any machine he creates. But if he creates another machine which is super than the human brain, I think then we have to question the existence of the human generation and humanity. And I wish that will not happen. Therefore, the human beings always would be there, and we cannot replace teachers by the artificial intelligence or by the robots. But the way in which we deliver, the means may change. And one more thing would happen. You see, I always wonder this. There is one more problem with this technology. That technology is, divide. Technology divide. That is haves and have-nots. Look at the Karnataka situation today. See, in Bangalore, we all talk about online. See, I am comfortably talking to Professor Lata, who is in Shillong now. Now, I am perturbed by a student who is sitting in Kola or who is sitting in Shumaga. Can he do this? This is a very simple technology. But when we talk about artificial intelligence, when we talk about robots, I mean, can we even today? I'm telling I am touch with lot of B schools in Karnataka and across India, and at least 80% of the B schools in the smaller towns could not deliver online lecture. I mean, this technology is a double-edged sword. If it is used properly, yes, it has some uses. But in a democratic, in a large country like India, and we have a lot of other issues also with technology. Assume that tomorrow our country becomes a country of full high bandwidth, a country, every student would have a laptop. Assume that every student would have internet connection. Assume that every student would have quality power. Even if we assume, I think technology will not replace human, because knowledge creation would happen with professors. Say for example, if I am teaching marketing today, I teach marketing, agriculture marketing, what is happening. If I am teaching supply chain today, I teach supply chain keeping in mind what is happening with the product coming from China to our pharmaceutical industry, APIs. And what is, I mean, that is what is happening. For a robot to see that, somebody has to feed it. And strongly I feel technology will not supplement robots, and artificial intelligence will not make away inroads. Make inroads into education in such a way that where teacher become irrelevant.
Thank you. Anybody would like to add to that, or?
Yeah, I could just add the whole factor of the human connect. I feel a robo cannot give. I mean, in a classroom, if the student is having a problem, is the teacher who immediately notices it because of the human connect. So yeah, we might have some mundane work being done by them, but the higher end work where the human aspect is more needed, I don't think it will be ever be able to replace it. Human brain is so wonderful that it can immediately, it is so adaptive, it can quickly understand, which for a robo you'll have to give number of things for it to actually understand what is a cat and what is a dog. But the child, you teach what is a cat and a dog, immediately the child will know. You don't have to teach it many a times. So this will be the difference, and therefore the human beings I don't think will ever be replaced, and I hope it doesn't, because the color of the world will disappear.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
So there
And
are, yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, coming to the segment that most students, especially MBA graduates or aspirants, I must say, are interested in is placements. So talking about placements, talking about the job market, Lata ma'am, I have a question for you. Do you see, like, we've seen a lot happen over the course of the last couple of months, especially with the job market, and several of the top MNCs laying off. But do you think this is the right time to do an MBA program? And do you see this pattern happening in the near future?
We are already seeing the drop in the CAT registrations because these doubts are, bothering the students. So the MBA has been seen as a route to get good jobs, and now those jobs are not there, and therefore they have serious doubts whether they should be doing an MBA or not. So I think as teachers in management education, we need to not only broaden their minds about what management education lead to, but also create the kind of learning and the opportunities. They should be able to see a lot more opportunities as to what they can do in terms of career beyond jobs in a few. It's a very very small world that they see as they're looking at a certain set of companies where they can get placed. But if we can engage them a lot more in terms of how they can become leaders, uh, which they can use to leverage to work and earn in any kind of an environment. It can be startups, it can be small and medium enterprises, but they are able to contribute and make the organization grow. And in the process, they may not immediately earn a great salary, but it is in them to to grow the organization and grow along with that. So the research that we are talking about for all business schools, all educational institutions, research has become so very very important. So we have a huge student force with us whom we should also engage. Research cannot be only publishing where it's an independent academic activity by the professors. But how do we make research relevant to the society is something that everyone is asking. Is it publication that is important, or is it relevant research that is important? How do we engage with the industry to make the technology more productive, to make the people more productive, to make whatever technology more useful for the society, to bridge this divide between the haves and the have-nots? How do we, uplift the poor? I mean, there are so many things that we can do, and the community engagement, the community immersions, and the kind of research projects that we design and engage our students in, so that they also get to see the possibilities out there. Many of the students who come to do MBA are engineers, particularly in IIMs. We see that they come from the best of engineering colleges, and then they go take up a job in some finance company or some other marketing company, and their engineering knowledge, whatever skills that they have learned, it is completely wasted away. I mean, it's a huge waste of national resources. And if we can identify, for example, I see in Shillong a couple of examples I can give you. In this day, every household here in the city of Shillong, they burn coal to keep themselves warm in winter. It is so polluting and it is so very difficult to handle. Why can't the community get together and design a heating system? What they have learned in their engineering college, it's not some high technology. And I also see another situation here. Meghalaya has the highest rainfall, and there is no rainwater harvesting. And I see, it's all hilly area, ups and downs. And I see small water tanker vehicles struggling uphill to reach to the households, to reach water to them during summers. I mean, why are we seeing all this and not doing anything about it? Right? So there are no big technology is required. What you have learned in your engineering, you can apply if only you open your eyes to the problems around you and you engage yourself and benefit that community. Then there is no dearth of opportunities for you. And that is the kind of leadership the industry also would look at. Getting a job would be so much more easier when you know that as a student you have used your learning and you have solved real life problems. I think that is what the kind of confidence we need to give to our students by engaging them in more in research, more in relevant research that is useful for the society.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Sir, Dr. Rajesh, sir, I have a question for you with regards to, competency and looking at placements. Could you give us top 5 competencies of the management graduate today that you think is quite important?
In fact, very interesting. Uh, as I said, I mean, I share this based on my experience being part of a placement panel of many companies. When we are part of placements, there are certain things which we expect, and these are something which you take very serious, more than what is their domain knowledge, etc. And it's not exactly in the order, and can we call all these competencies that can depend. the first thing we expect candidates to have is common sense. And common sense is the most uncommon thing. And somehow our management education is not able to provide that fire to think on their own. That is number one. Two, general knowledge. And believe it, trust me, just a couple of months back, June, there was one company which was conducting interviews as part of the panel. It was online interview. One candidate was one simple question: who is the president of India? And she said Abdul Kalam. This was just happened recently, and sir has expired and is no more yet. I mean, imagine the impression the student creates when they're not even able to equip. And she was the top scorer, excellent academic background, but does that matter? I mean, this was a very simple question, shouldn't make a difference. But yet, general knowledge is something which we see missing among students. Three, uh, analytical skills. And again, this is something, actually, this is something which any B school should actually be able to inculcate among the learners, analytical skills. And as we generally say, a problem well identified is half solved. And that's exactly what companies are looking for. How far the candidate is have the expertise to identify the problems, if not ability to solve the problems. But that is another thing we look for. For, of course, good communication, presentation skills, etc. But most important, what no compromise ever is, values and vision. We always say intelligence plus integrity is the goal of a business education. And as madam was earlier mentioning, without ethics, I mean, were we? Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. And somehow we see students, candidates who are willing to take shortcuts, who feel anything is acceptable as long as they can reach the targets. That mindset, I think, should be removed. I'm sure if students come with a clear vision, good value system, good integrity, I think placements are assured. But having said that, I'd just like to share two things. One, when I was heading one of the B schools, this was around a decade back, we had one excellent model, and it was an excellent successful model. This is what we used to do. Any new batch which got admitted, the very first month after some exposure, we used to ask them to choose 2 or 3 industries, preferably 2 industries, in which they want to make a career, preferably based on the background. As madam was mentioning, many students come from engineering background, but hardly it gets used. So we used to encourage them to actually select industries based on their background. Throughout 2 years, we used to give them exposure only relating to that industry. I mean, more exposure. So let it be a simple assignment, a case study, assignment, project, whatsoever on that industry or industries. Imagine 2 years, students working on 1 or 2 industries. Imagine the kind of the depth of knowledge they get and the kind of expertise they have. And it used to so happen, they're so equipped, no industry, no company under that industry could reject them because they were so much knowledgeable. But having said that, I always believe placement should not be the target for a management education. I feel it should be equip them to make an independent living, equipping them to create opportunities, or training them to be more acceptable by the society, I think is what we should aim for. Placement, I think, is a part of the process, but equipping them to create opportunities. And entrepreneurship, I think, should be the way of life and should be the order. Preparing them to be part of some organization, yes, all that can happen for short term. But long run, I think that vision, as I mentioned, is something where they can be independent. Can that be created is, I think, what we should work towards. Over to you.
So just to repeat what Sir said, 5 points: common sense, general knowledge, analytical skills, communication, and values and vision. Hope you all have a note of that. Quite important. So Madhumita ma'am, I have a question on how are our students basically prepared to take on placements, because this year is not the same as the previous years, but how are they preparing in terms of taking on placements in this post-COVID world?
Yeah. Actually, we've always followed a 4.5 month internship in the industry as a model for preparing them, because most of the students who come are without a work experience. And we realized that the small summer projects that used to be there as part of MBA education earlier on didn't really add any value to their learning, because the industry wasn't willing to spare a person for just those 6 weeks, and for them it was a waste of money. And the students just tinkered here and there and made a project and got it signed. So that's the reason we believed in giving them a hands-on experience for almost 4.5 months in the industry, working there, and that we put it at the end of the academic interventions that were there, so that if the industry liked them, they could immediately onboard those students. It was almost like a probationary person who was working with them, and an industry which who has spent time of 4.5 months and has the student has built a relationship. Most often the students used to convert them into permanent offers, but today, yes, it is going to be a little different. And for us this year, we have had a number of students doing their internship online. The industry has asked them, so that is the preparation we had to give them while we were taking their classes, that you are going to be in this world where things would be digitized, where you would have to learn how to connect with a remote team, how to be able to present. So our research that as a mandatory paper we did actually helped them, because they were quick in creating reports, they knew where to go and find data. So all this helped them. And for placement, that's the training today that we have to give them. They have to know how to use technology, how to do analytics on data, how to be able to connect with remote teams, how to show their leadership. Everywhere there is a leadership content that they would have to show, even if it is on a remote basis. So that is what was important for us, and that was what we were trying to do through the pre-placement and the webinars and the interaction with a number of industry experts. In fact, we had experts come and teach them on the course, because they were also going through something that had never happened to their industry, and they were actually sharing the challenges that they are facing, which gave an excellent input to our students to understand what needs to be done. So yeah, that is the preparation. And is it absolutely perfect? No, it is not perfect. We are all still working on it, and I'm sure the students are more agile and they are able to capture it much more quicker. And the whole learning pattern had to be explained to them, that this is what today the industry would look at. And then there will be changes, because the industry is also grappling with the changes. They still don't know what they will do. So there's a lot of government support that is coming at the moment. But once that dries up, what is going to happen? So there is a preparation that needs to be done for these kind of things. We are now propping up the economy with the easy flow of money, but that money is not going to be there always. So this understanding and this being able to visualize this are the factors that we brought in, because the industry is also grappling and trying to find ways and means. Especially the smaller sectors are very keen to have people who will be able to help them come out of this, because they were not ready for this technological innovations. So we are preparing the students for both types of going to a big industry and how it would be working there, working from home. I mean, working from home, the trust concept that Professor Venkatesh was talking about. I heard Narayan Murthy say that, do we have an SOP for working from home? And we are all saying, yeah, everybody's fine, everybody's giving a lot of productivity. But is the industry really getting what they used to get when they were there? So these factors will be coming in, which we are trying to tell them. But the challenges will keep unfolding as we move ahead. But the preparation has started. So they are being trained on those grounds of remote teams, on data analytics, on research modes, and various factors like the human connect, and what are the challenges that are going to be there, and how solutions they can offer by interacting. And one more thing, the last thing that I would like to harp on is that we have got this mentoring system, and a lot of industry experts are mentoring. So the students are finding a lot of new inputs coming in because of the COVID from these mentors, which earlier they used to talk about, the brick and mortar industry that they would enter. So this mentoring is also helping them. So these are the processes we have put in place to ensure that the placement is much better compared to what the scenario around the world we are seeing at this moment. But yes, it is a challenge that one has to take up with a very, very positive mindset. Every student has to take it up and learn. They cannot sit back and say the institute will give it to me. Unfortunately, in India, placement has become a hygiene factor for all these schools. That is something that we have to do away with. Thank you.
Yeah, just probably running a tangent to that, to have a question for Venkatesha sir. So, do you see any correlation between placements and academic performance? Because this is something that is kind of in the minds of a lot of students.
Yeah, I mean, there is a perfect correlation between academic performance and the placement, but with a rider, we have to redefine what is academics. See, it is not just reading books and omitting that in the examination. If that is academics, there is no correlation. If you say what I learn in the internship, what I learn in the project, what I learn in the book reading club, what I learn in the marketing club, what I learn in the finance club, what I learn in the HR club, or what I learn in the Toastmaster international or wing, what we have, or what we do, student research is there. And we have, I mean, now the whole idea is this. Student, when they come to MBA, they have to come with a new mindset. Because I'm sorry to tell this, you know, in most of the undergraduate institutions, student work for 3 hours a day or 2 hours a day throughout the year, and somehow they get the degree and come to MBA. Believe me, hard work is one of the pre-component to become successful in corporate world. Now, are you ready to work for 14 hours a day? That is the question now. If you are ready to work for 14 hours a day, yes, there is space for you in the corporate. And if you say, I have not worked, no, it will not come overnight. See, in MBA, if you say, I work 12 to 14 hours a day, and it can be in the club, or it could be, you know, in the reading economic times or business standard, or it would be, you know, participating in the Toastmaster International, or in the TEDx, or in the marketing club, or in the seminars, or in the presentations, or in the communication improvement. Yes, there is perfect correlation. And if you come with a mindset of you know, archaic feeling that MBA means reading Philip Kotler and writing in the examination, and I get 80%, and if you say this is academic, no, there is no correlation. And one more thing is important. See, when a corporate recruit an MBA, you want high package. Believe me, you are not going there as a clerk. You are not going there as an assistant. You are going to HR department or marketing department or finance department to add value. See, the other day I was talking to the Oracle HR head. He was asking me, sir, there are 12 people in my team. My HR quotient is 68%. That is, they have set a standard for the HR quotient of Oracle, and they tell this is the performance of my HR department, including me. That is, HR head Udupa told me, I am there, 12 people are there, my performance is 68%. But I want to take this to the 78%. Can you give a student who can take my HR performance to 78% quotient? And what Udupa wants from me is he has to be better than him. He has to go with a new mindset, a new idea, new, out of the box thinking. I mean, where from this comes to a student? Say, if you go to a marketing department to a company, and if it can be branding or it can be an advertisement, and if you are not ready to work for 14 hours a day, and if you are not having any new idea, and are you going there to be a clerk? No, I mean, the question is where from this out of the box thinking comes to a student? Where from this creativity comes to a student? Now, I will ask simple, very, very naked question. How many the students who are hearing me, tell me in the last 1 year, how many general management books you have read? It could be about the work of the Google or Starbucks, or it could be about IKEA, or it could be about any new business idea, or it could be about a business icon like Narayan Murthy or whoever it is. I mean, you tell me, I'm not telling just it comes by reading, it comes only by reading books. It could be, say, for example, are you good at I was reading a book by Dilip Chabria, who is a great automobile designer. He tells me I go for nature watching, and most of my designs come from in the nature. He tells me all the cars earlier had short finish, like our Fiat and all things like that, and most of the cars comes now with the round shape, and maybe aerodynamics is one of the thing. And he writes in his book, most of this idea comes to me because you look at the nature. Orange is round, your pumpkin is round, your apple is round. I mean, he tells me this idea comes to me by going for travel. Now I ask my students, are you passionate about traveling? Are you passionate about reading books? Are you passionate about dance, drama, travel? Or look at, don't bother about all these things. Professor Lata was talking just now. Can you look at some social problems? Does it really bother you? Say for example, she was talking about drinking water, she was talking about rainwater harvesting. It could be a rural girl who could not go to school because there is no firewood at their house, or it could be hygiene problem. There are a lot of construction workers. Now my simple question to the students who are hearing me is this: are you touched by any problem that society faces? And as Professor Rajesh was talking about entrepreneurship, can you think next 2 years how to solve that social problem? See, you find a business idea there, and if you implement it, you will become another Narayan Murthy, or you will become another Premji. That is what they have done. And you can become another Bansal. That is what they have done. Look at the social problem, go for travel, go for understanding the social problem, read great books, take your passion, work hard. Why success will not come to you? And I think if we consider all these things as the part of academics, because we have to redefine MBA. MBA is not MSc Maths, and I am not degenerating MSc Maths. MSc Maths is a different thing, because if you know the formula and if you have the mathematical acumen, it is the mother of sciences, I understand. But still, you need not be a great communicator. You need not be a great people person. You need not be a great, person in understanding the business social problems. But MBA is not like that. MBA, you have to be a people person. You must work hard 14 hours a day. You must have the passion. And if you consider all these components, what I have told as the part of the academics, then I think there is a relation between what we do in ABBS and placement. There is connection. Over to you, sir.
So thank you so much. I think we have about 15 minutes.
I think this is, there is no need to despair. That is what I would say, and look at the world with a new vigor, new energy, because there is so much that can be done, and it has thrown up a lot of opportunities, lot of issues that we can engage in. So I don't think we need to be depressed or despair at all in this point of time. Let's move ahead hand in hand, and I'm sure the sky is the limit for all of us, whether you're doing MBA or anything else. It is always there. One has to be confident that one can contribute, and that's where the world will take us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lata
I
ma'am.
always feel, education is not just filling the pot, it is about lighting the fire. And in particular, management education is about lighting a bigger fire and sustaining it. And I'm sure a well-designed management program, a properly delivered course should definitely lead to big success. And as Madam said, sky is the limit as long as we're able to make it. And normally we say success is a product of ASK, knowledge, skill, and attitude. And as long as all these three can be imparted, I'm sure the outcome of the output of any management institution will be excellent and sought after by the industry. Thanks for the opportunity and very well organized program. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you so much for your insights, sir. Thank you so much, Lata ma'am, for your valuable insights. I think we've
My
had
pleasure.
wonderful perspectives from all of you, slightly varied, yet the only common point that I could think of was that all of the panelists are PhD holders. But thank you so much. It was wonderful having you. Thank you to all the participants for your questions. And if you have any further questions, please do send us an email to webinar@abbs.edu.in. I will try and connect it to our panelists who can talk to you with this. Thank you again. Thank you. Good day.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank
Good
you.
day to all of you.
Thank you. Good day.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.